Let's have a look to see the theme of this reading. I know it's going to be powerful. So you're starting off with our oracle card that is encouraging you to start on your healing journey. The next oracle card that we have, interesting, not only are both of your cards talking about you taking care of yourself, they're really showing you going on a journey, starting that healing journey, loving on yourself, and really allowing yourself to relax, to enjoy yourself, because there's a feeling of feeling burnt out. There's a feeling of feeling tired. There's a feeling of, I can't do this anymore. And Spirit is saying it is important for you to start that healing journey, to start doing the shadow work, because you can't run away from yourself forever. I hear from your guides and your guardian angels saying that for most of you, you're going to be saying, I'm too busy, or I've already started my healing journey, or I don't know how to start my healing journey. Wherever you are on that spectrum, Spirit is saying to you they are not playing, because there's a sense of like a meltdown. There's a sense of feeling tired, exhausted, burnt out. And what I'm hearing your guide saying is that we either do this the easy way or the hard way, meaning that you either choose, right, to sign yourself up for that healing journey, or before you know it, mentally you're just feeling tired, exhausted, that you get forced to start that journey. Okay, so Spirit is very much gentle, soft on the encouragement of going on this journey. But what I want you to know that at the beginning, Spirit starts quietly, encouragingly. And before you know it, if you don't do what they're suggesting for you, you get pushed to do it, right? So like I said, there's a feeling of we either do this the hard way or the easy way. Which one is it going to be? All right. So let me pop our oracle cards to one side and let's get some tarot cards to see how the story is growing. As I always tell you that these readings are general, so do take what is resonating with you. Leave behind anything that is not for you. And of course, if you need your own personal reading done, my website is linked in the description box below. On my website, you find cleansing rituals like Olympia cleanses. These are spiritual cleanses. If your spirit is just feeling heavy, there's cord cutting rituals, return to sender, and a lot, as well as personal readings as well. So let's have a look to see what our tarot cards have to say. As I get your cards for you, please do subscribe to the channel and really invite your intuition to be available as you're listening to this reading, because your intuition is going to start elaborating more on the messages that you're receiving so that this reading becomes very powerful and it becomes more like a personal reading. Okay, so let's pop these cards to one side. Four of Swords. Interesting. Very interesting. Why? Because literally the Four of Swords is about taking rest. The Four of Swords is about doing the shadow work. Okay, so let me give you some history on the Four of Swords. The Four of Swords, back in the day, it used to see soldiers, right? Soldiers would go to the church. This is like a long, long time ago. They'll go to the church before they go to battle. And there'll be a coffin there. They'll climb in the coffin and they'll spend the last night before they go to war in the coffin, really reflecting on what could happen when they're at war. They might not come back. They might come back injured. And also reflecting on the past, right? Really freeing themselves, cutting those cords, releasing and just being at peace. Then what would happen is when war is finished or when the soldiers come back, you would again go to church, you climb in the same coffin, and you reflect on what happened when you're at war. You start your healing journey, right? You really start reflecting on the person you've become, coming to peace with everything that you experienced. So it is interesting that both of our cards that came out, are heavily to do with self-reflection. They are heavily to do with healing and resting. The Four of Swords is the card that says to you, you must rest, right? Especially mentally, because swords operate on the mental plane. And it is interesting that our card is talking about mental health. And the Four of Swords is about taking care of your mental health and being at peace with whatever life has thrown at you, wherever you currently are at the moment, just being at peace with that. The next card that you received is the Two of Wands in reverse. So Spirit is saying that before you can go forward, okay, before doors of opportunities, before you can enter in to the next chapter, you have to make a choice, right? The ones about your passion, your fire, your drive, what you're creating, where you're going. But you have to make a choice whether you're going to ignore your mental health, whether you're going to ignore feeling exhausted and tired and go and do it anyway. And like I said, you can choose to ignore this message. But remember what Spirit said to you at the beginning? We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. Which is it going to be? The next card that you have, Nine of Wands. Interesting. Nine of Wands again is a card that is reflected and feeling tired, right? It's interesting that as you're looking at the imagery, it's very much about feeling burnt out. Okay. The Nine of Wands is about looking back, reflecting. Before you can go forward, you just have to take a moment to reflect. And this is what exactly that healing journey is. All the things that have burnt you, exhausted you, taken from you, all of them. And as you do that healing, you can then start deciding on how the next chapter of this story goes. Some of you are dealing with maybe deciding endings of relationships, maybe ending your job. It might feel like literally like you're burning the house down to free yourself. The Spirit is saying to you that again, don't hold on too much to the past. Yes, healing journey is important, but at some point it is time to move forward. It is time to choose, to make a choice. So how is the story going to unfold? We have our last tarot card on the table. In the last tarot card that you now have the Seven of Coins. Seven of Coins is about reaping what you've sown. So I see you going on that healing journey. I see you making that choice. I see you feeling fulfilled, happy, excited about new beginnings that are coming in and coming to peace with whatever has failed. Some of you, the healing journey is that you've started many businesses. They haven't gone well, but you feel like you are meant to create something. You are meant to work for yourself. You're meant to be someone in this world. And even though you might feel disappointed at all the time, the fire of all the projects that you've started and they didn't work out, Spirit is saying, don't worry. You didn't make mistakes, but rather you were learning. But now as you've taken time to reflect on what worked, what didn't work, what lessons you learned on this journey, this is when you say to yourself, you know what? It's okay. Sometimes we have to make mistakes so that we can learn. Sometimes we have to make mistakes so that we can grow. And you love on yourself despite feeling disappointed. And as you go forward, this is when you can start reaping the rewards of you having taken some time out to reflect on what didn't work, the anger, the disappointment, and all of that. Because not only are you healing your mental health, this is how you are going to be taking care of your mental health. Or like I said, you choose to ignore this message, saying, I'm too busy, I don't have time for this. And then later, this is when burnout starts to come in. This is when burnout, you can see that fire is very much present. Before we even got to the cards, we spoke about feeling burnt out. This is when feeling burnt out creeps in just as you are starting to gain momentum, just as you're starting to see results, suddenly you cannot have the energy. You can't get out of bed. You are just tired. And then what happens? Everything falls down again because you didn't allow yourself that time to just be at peace, reflecting, loving on yourself, and taking some time out to take care of your mental health because you're realizing that this is really important. So Spirit has laid it out thick for you, okay? So this is the message that I have. Again, everything that you need to know to work with me is linked in the description box below. I'm going to see you in my next reading. It is a goodbye from